In today's video, I'll be revealing one boring clay table to sell for $2,499 in 2025. If you're wondering what kind of clay tables sell for the most amount of money and probably will take you the least amount of time to actually build out completely from scratch, then this is the perfect video for you because I'll be pulling back the curtains on what I discovered is our highest profitability clay table that we've implemented to date for multiple clients over the last 2 years. Now, naturally, as most business owners out there, I try to figure out what kind of things do our clients really like? What do we spend the least time building? Because, it's really annoying with clay tables. A lot of the time you'll be stuck going through endless trial and error. And before you know it, you can't even launch a clay table. And all of these were concerns that I had over the last few months. So I was just looking at our Stripe dashboards to try and see what our clients pay us the most money for and what takes the least amount of time to build for our team so that we don't just agree to projects just for the sake of getting paid, only to figure out that, we're spending hundreds of hours to build out a specific clay table. So this is where I discovered, based on all the different type tracking stuff that I've done over the last 2 years myself across all of these different projects, I discovered that this is the most profitable type of clay table that we've built for over 7 companies in the last 2 years. There are 2 main important disclaimers. First of all, this works only for companies that sell complex products or services. The second disclaimer is I'm not trying to give you monetary advice of how to make more money or how to get rich quickly or anything of that sort. It's just me sharing my learnings. So take it with a pinch of salt as well. Now, let me explain the logic behind this specific clay table that I'm about to explain in a second. What you will find with most sales teams is the fact that to this day, they're still manually qualifying companies for their services. Yes, they may have access to ZoomInfo, Cognism, Apollo, you name it, like some random platform. The chances are they're not using this technology in order to... That means that they're still manually Google searching for company information. They're still going on LinkedIn pages, websites, LinkedIn profiles of the specific leads and so on. And they're spending hours just to research a prospect before a first call with them. And of course, what I'm going to say to you now is going to sound very, very intuitive, that most of this manual account research and qualification can be done inside of Clay automatically so that it's literally catered for sales teams where all they want to do is just input a website or a company name, or even automatically we can populate the Clay table via a webhook so that all of this triggers the running of the entire Clay table so that the sales team does absolutely nothing. Over the next 2 minutes, let me just explain and walk you through a real example of a clay table that I built recently, which does exactly what I was just talking about with account research. So let's take a look at this quick clay table. In this case, our client is selling into cement companies, and over here we have the names of the cement plants, we have the cities where the cement plants are located, and we have the countries where they're located. Based on that, we're basically replacing everything that their sales team used to be researching manually. And in this case, we start off with using Claygent in order to find the websites of those cement plants. We then check if those cement plants have any sort of hardwares installed on the cement plants, and specifically the hardwares that we can find based on historic job descriptions. And before we know it, we can also pull off all sorts of other fancy research, like understanding what type of rotary kiln is being used, whether they have a calcine or not, which is super, super specific and tailored to this specific account research that typically is done by the sales team ahead of any sales outreach that is performed by them on a daily basis. So these kind of workflows can be tailored completely to your needs using just the following things. So first of all, we would need to have the inputs. The inputs will typically be the company names and websites. Then use the Claygent enrichment. So if you click on actions in the top right corner, you would just use Claygent, the AI web researcher, to research a bunch of things for you. And then by the very end of this workflow, you can see that we can basically split this into different steps. For example, seeing if the company is high tech, referencing past articles, referencing their case studies and testimonials, of what companies this company works with, looking at their sustainability targets. And before we know it, we can then create a Google Doc with all that research. In my company right now, we refer to this as battle cards, which basically equip the sales team with all the information that is needed in order to start those initial conversations with those target companies. So essentially, you can see all the information displayed on this Google Doc. The sales team can instantly access it, and more than that, we can even send this account-based research into your CRM, or we can even send this research directly to your sales team so that every time that your sales team cold calls someone, they will have this research right in front of them with some prompts that we generated using AI as the cold call opener. All right, cool. Assuming you see the value of this type of clay tables, you think that it's a lot easier to deliver this kind of thing compared to some lead generation clay tables. Let me walk you through the 6-step process that this clay table requires you to go through in order to build it out completely from start to finish. Now, typically the first step is on any type of discovery call, on any sort of initial call with a prospect. Always ask the prospect to tell us what their sales team researches about target companies and target ICP leads manually before reaching out to them. A lot of the time, you could just ask one of the sales reps to just share some of their notes from the CRM, just to see what their meeting preparation notes inside of the CRM look like, because obviously you can then mimic all of their manual research using Clay later on. In some cases, I've even jumped on calls with sales reps for them to show me button by button how they go about researching leads and target accounts, because this helps me understand how they think, and that way I can prompt Claygen to basically do exactly what they're doing manually otherwise. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, after that, you need to request some sample input data. So for instance, you need to request a list of some people that attended meetings with them recently, just so that you can use this as test data to test out your automation of all of this fancy account research. Once I have that information, typically what I do is I create a Miro board similar to this, and I just get the company to confirm with me, hey, is this information correct? So what you typically do is you typically have the company name as the inputs. What you want Clay to do is you want Clay to find the website of the cement plant, as an example. You want Clay to find the color of the cement that is manufactured, if it's like gray or if it's black, or like, well, what color is the cement that's manufactured. After that, you want to find the sustainability goal for from the sustainability report in 2024. You want to find out what technology they use, and then you need to qualify the person for ICP based on the technology that they use. Is that correct? 99% of the time, I send them a Loom video walking through this exact Miro board, and I'm basically just asking them to confirm my understanding of the input and what they want Clay to do, and then finally what the output should be. Now the one part that confuses a lot of people and prevents a lot of people from implementing this kind of Clay table is that they don't know how to generate this sales battle card. Now, I only came to learn this through one of the subscribers. I think it was Jessica that commented under one of the videos asking to explain a bit more about how to go about creating sales battle cards. And for that reason, I decided to just do this video to just share how I go about creating sales battle cards. And then finally, of course, I asked them what the final output needs to look like. 99% of the time, it's one of 3 things. The first thing is a sales battle card. So for those of you that may not be aware, Clay can actually create a sales battle card completely from scratch for you. And I'll show you in a couple of minutes of how you can go about creating a battle card that looks similar to this, which can be sent to the sales rep before every single sales call that they have with their prospects, because this way it just basically briefs them on everything that they would have researched manually otherwise. And all they need to do is they just click on the link and they can get redirected to whatever random website. And I'll be talking about this in a second. The second thing on top of that is instant Slack notifications. So I'll show you how to go about setting up Slack notifications so that every single time when this account research is done, you can notify the sales rep. And then thirdly, I'll show you, if you have the privilege of working with a more expensive Clay plan, which I believe is the $800 Clay plan, if you have that, how you can go about updating the lead inside of the CRM as well. So if that sounds good, let's jump into it, and I'll just walk you through how I would automate something like this. So as I mentioned, we already have the inputs, we have the Clay, we know what Clay needs to do, we roughly understand what the outputs are. I've taken the liberty already to basically just create a sample Clay table where we have the company name as the input, we found the website, we found the cement color, we found some sustainability targets. And let me explain a couple of things that are super, super important for this kind of Clay table to actually work as well as you want it to. So the first thing that's super, super important is whenever you get it to research something, always make sure to include a URL link as a separate output. So what I mean by that is at the very bottom over here, give it 3 outputs. So you can click on add output over here and just ask for one of the outputs to be the actual information. The second output to be where you actually found this information. So it could be the URL link so that the salesperson can click on that URL link to be able to like validate that the research that has been done correctly. Because a lot of the time, you know, it will pick up on information from like Wikipedia or something, in which case that's not particularly credible and the sales rep needs to double check. And thirdly, you would also need the date of when this information was found, because a lot of the time, you know, if you've done research based on an article in 2013, it may not be appropriate right now. So for that reason, that's another thing that's really, really important as well. Now, as soon as you have all of these data points, which we talked about over here, of finding the website, finding the color of cement and all of this good stuff, this is where most people get stuck, because not many people know how to go about creating one of these battle cards completely from scratch. Now, if our end goal is to create a sales battle card that looks something like this, which we can send to the sales reps, the first thing that we need to realize is that in order to create any sort of battle card, the first thing that we need to do is just to generate this content using ChatGPT. Now, the reason that we're using ChatGPT and not Formula, for instance, is because in case if we use something like Formula inside of Clay, you will not space out the text correctly inside of the battle card. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to click on Actions, we're going to click on Use AI, we're going to go into the Configure section, and I'm going to just copy and paste this prompt that I know works 100% of the time. With this prompt, which basically says that this is the research for a specific company, it basically specifies the exact findings which we mapped from the Clay table, and then at the bottom over here, it just basically gives you a quick prompt to explain how ChatGPT should be able to generate a battle card using all of this information. After that, just make sure that the model at the top for the use case is create a modified content. You can just click on save and run one row in this view. And you can see immediately over here, it generates all the information that we need for the battle card. However, it does have the stars. However, it does include the stars over here. So in that case, if that ever happens, we can just say at the very bottom over here, remove curly brackets and stars from the output. And then we can save and run the row once again. To be totally honest, with this part of battle card text creation, it typically could require a bit of trial and error. I mean, the rest of the Clay table will take you like half an hour to build in most cases, maybe like an hour if you're on the slower side of things. So in this case, you can just have a look. Like now this data looks absolutely perfect. And just for a bit of context, so we all are on the same page, we've already mapped out the inputs and the outputs, right? We went about doing all of this fun stuff inside of Clay, and we're just worried about generating the battle card. In order to do that, we can click on Actions in the top right-hand corner, type in Google Docs, and then over here you have the option of creating a document, which we would unavoidably have to do. So I'll title this document Company Name, Research for, I'll just say Tim, for instance. And then over here, I'm just going to use the backslash and refer to the output from the battle card, which is just the response over here that we just got from the battle cards. Continue to add fields. We'll switch the toggle on for document URL, save and run one row in this view. And what we should see right now, hypothetically speaking, and hopefully practically speaking as well, is that the Google Doc gets created. So let's have a look. You can see the Google Doc got created over here with the company name, the website, the cement color, and so on. Of course, if you want it to be in bold and all of that stuff, it does require a bit of fine-tuning. And in case if you do want this battle card to have the text and sections in bold like over here, all you need to do is just go and reprompt the battle card over here, where you'll just say, make sure each section is spaced out and make sure each title, like company name, is in bold. And then if we click on save and run one row once again, hopefully this will show. But if not, it's basically just you reprompting the enrichment until it gets it correctly, which once again, like that's the bit which may take you a couple of minutes to do here or there, but still it will take like 5 or 10 minutes. In this case now, it has the stars, for instance. So once again, it's just an iterative process, but just know that it may take you a bit of time. But now if we open this Google Docs again, this time, at the very least, it has all of this text in bold, which is actually perfect. But next time we just need to ask it to space it out like this, which once again, we can do by adjusting the prompt. In the meantime, let's go through some of the remaining outstanding actions as well. On top of creating this battle card, we may want to send this battle card into a Slack channel. So all we'll do here is we'll click on Actions, we'll type in Slack. And just to reinforce here for the Google Docs, all you would need to do is just click on Manage Accounts, and you can basically create and add your own Google Docs account here, in case if I didn't point that out earlier. And then for Slack, we just type in Slack. You will have the option to send a message to a channel. I would typically just use a bot. I'll call this like Tim's Research Nerd, for instance, and then select this channel. I'm going over here, and for the message, I'm just going to say something like, here is the research. And basically, it's as simple as you typing in, here is the research on this company, semicolon, and then just basically map the document URL. And if I just click on save and run one row in this view, you should now be able to see over here that my research nerd has come up with a research, and it basically attached the Google Docs over here as well. We can also tag people if we want to. Essentially, this is the process that you will typically take. So just as a quick reminder, you will ask the prospect what their sales team is researching. You will ask for some sample data. You will map this out into a Miro board. And then before you know it, you can add a Slack enrichment. You can update the CRM with the notes as well. For those of you wondering how you would go about updating the CRM with that, you can just use the update objects part. I don't want to reveal the API keys over here that I have for HubSpot. So for that reason, I'm not going to go into it. But basically, you will just update the object and you will select the contact or the company as the object so that you can update the notes under that specific object by just adding the document URL there. It's super seamless to do that. You just basically just map the document URL. In case if you're struggling with that, you can message me and I'll help you out. But essentially, that's that. The one thing that I found in common across a lot of the implementations that we've done when we implemented similar sales battle cards is that it's that people don't really know that they need this until you build it for them. So my logic has always been on the first sales call to be like, hey, would this be helpful? And then I'll get all of this scoping done first to make sure that I've captured all of the inputs, what Clay does and the outputs. And then I'll just send it to them with a Loom video being like, hey, this is the Clay table where you just input the company name. It does all the research, sends you a Slack message, updates your CRM, and your sales team doesn't need to research like 20 calls, or your sales team would never have to research a specific prospect or a specific company ever again, right? And this is where the people get hooked and they ask you how much it will cost for you to actually finish off this Clay table for them. So typically it's that kind of nature of engagement. It's not that they know that they need it straight away. So I would recommend for you to test this out and to see how that goes. Of course, you don't need to charge $2,499 for that. You can charge less to start with. You can then bring up the price. But I think that it's definitely like a boring type of Clay table. It doesn't really do that much apart from just research. But that's super, super valuable for some people that may not be able to leverage Clay as well as you can. So I hope this video was useful. If it was useful, make sure to like the video, make sure to comment something nice down below. Let me know what other videos you want to see, because as you can see from this pipeline of videos that I've got over here, I'm just basically actioning a bunch of different videos that a bunch of Unlock Clay students have requested, and I'm slowly updating the course to make sure that it just gets better and better over time as well. So hopefully I'll see you inside of Unlock Clay. Go check it out, unlockclay.com, and I'll see you in the next video.